I think we're live. I can't figure out. There was no music and no countdown.
Yeah.
Oh,
a
I
little
saw.
bit of a countdown. It's just
Really?
yeah.
Mine, there was no countdown. There was nothing. Okay.
Well, we're skipping
We're
ahead.
skipping that whole thing. So we're live. Cool. Let's see. Yeah. So it's been a weird week. It's been weird energy for me anyway. But I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. For sure.
It's been a year.
It's been a year. Yeah. Yeah. So what's going on with you guys? Anything?
I have not turned into Spider-Woman yet. I've been waiting. It's like if I have to deal with this, I
Yes.
should at least get superpowers, but
Hey, my
you know.
lover. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, I'm glad you guys are back.
Yes. We did fill an hour last week, but
we did. It was a
I didn't
great
know if we
conversation.
did, but we did, and we had fun. It was a lot of fun, but we missed you.
It was, for sure.
Yeah. Glad you're feeling better and you guys are back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Kenna, what you got?
So this one is an interesting one. And, you know, like there may be some practical explanations for what happened, you know, or there could be a paranormal explanation for what happened. But this is from like the 1960s. It happened in the Canary Islands. So this is like the mystery of El Fausto. So just so everyone is aware, there's going to be a lot of like Spanish pronunciation because the Canary Islands are a colony of Spain. So, you know, prepare yourselves for a little confusion here and there. But essentially, this mystery surrounds a fishing boat in the Canary Islands. But, you know, they're, which are off the southwestern coast of Morocco. I have so many notes. It's kind of crazy. It might be kind of a long one. We might run over a little bit. But essentially, in 1968, the boat was owned by a man named Rafael Acosta. The vessel was 46 feet long and weighed roughly 20 tons, which, I mean, as far as a fishing vessel, like that's pretty big. But, you know, smaller than, like, obviously, like a freight liner or something that's like hauling like large loads. It was considered large, though, for the type of work that it was doing, specifically for the fishing. So in addition to that, it was often employed for like the transportation of goods, like produce, diesel fuel, like other things kind of like that. So the home port of the Fausto or El Fausto was in Tazacorte, La Palma. So La Palma is the island, Tazacorte is the port. And it's like one of the westernmost islands of the Canary Islands. Like there's two that are like on the west, and like one's north, and that's La Palma, and then there's one to the south. And there's a direct route between the two that a lot of like vessels, fishing vessels, transportation vessels would travel between. So on the evening of July 20th in 1968, the Fausto departed Tazacorte and traveled south to El Hierro Island, which was about 50 miles south of La Palma. So it was fairly like short as far as travel. Like, yes, it's like multiple hours of travel, but I mean, if you're thinking of the ocean, like that's not too bad, like 7-ish hours. But they were headed that direction to deliver explosives that were used for agricultural purposes. Back then, like explosives were used to clear land, improve soil, and like promote drainage. So they were used like on farms, which is wild. That not really done nowadays, but back then it was totally normal. But there were 3 of the usual 4 crew members aboard the vessel. So there was Ramon and Heriberto Hernandez, which were brothers, and their cousin, Miguel Acosta. So they were all related, and they were all related to the owner, Rafael. The 4th crew member, who wasn't present at this time, he had like a previous engagement. Just his name was Viterbo Acosta as well. So Rafael Acosta, Viterbo Acosta, and Miguel Acosta. They're, you know, all same last name, and then the other ones were the cousins, the brothers. So These men were all in their 40s, and they had been working on fishing vessels since they were in their teens. So they were very experienced on fishing vessels. They were seasoned crewmen. Um, they were very confident. Other people around them, the owner of the company, owner of the boat, was very confident in their ability to do their job. And the crew did arrive in El Hierro about 7 hours after their initial departure to unload their cargo. But that same night that they arrived, there was a man at the same dock named Julio Garcia. He was 27 years old, and he was trying to get home to La Palma. So it was the same island that they had traveled from. That was Julio's home as well. He was working as an irrigation maintenance chief in El Hierro and had gotten word from his wife that his 2-month-old daughter was very ill, like severely ill. And he had attempted to board like a Freightliner home, but had missed it by minutes. So he was unable to get home. The next liner would not be departing for 2 days. So he was trying to get home. Like right now, his baby is like extremely ill, and he can't wait for 2 days. So he approached the crew of El Fausto about his predicament and offered to pay them for passage. They denied his payment and generously offered him the trip for free. So they were very nice people. So after loading their new cargo, which wasn't a ton of stuff, it was only about 22 pounds of produce, the crew and Julio departed from the port at 2:30 in the morning on July 21st. So the Fausto was expected to arrive home that same day at 10 a.m., but it never did. So Rafael, which was the owner of the ship, had just assumed the ship had experienced some mechanical failure, engine failure, because the waters were reported as very calm by like other fishermen. There was no adverse weather. There was nothing that would have caused like the ship to sink or veer off course unless, the engine died or they ran out of fuel or something failed, like something had to have happened to the boat. So another boat was like sent from La Palma, like on the reverse route, essentially to try and like help them tow them back, whatever it was. They did expect to find them on that reverse route because that was kind of the only thing that made sense to them at this point in time. But when the other crew had reached El Hierro, they had radioed back to La Palma and they said, we didn't see anything. We never found them. They had traveled the whole 7 hours, the whole route down and saw nothing. So people are baffled. They're going to call the government. Government's going to send some planes. So on July 22nd, like a plane was sent to search for the boat with no luck. They didn't find anything. And then about 3 days later, maritime authorities received a message from a ship called Duquesa, which is like the Duchess in Spanish, that was traveling to the Netherlands from South America. So they had reported that they had encountered El Fausto and her crew. They spoke to the crew and had offered to tow the boat back to the Canary Islands. Shockingly, the crew had denied the offer and instead requested food and fuel enough for their voyage home. Hello, Ramona. So the Duquesa agreed to the request and sent them on their way. They're like, these guys know what they're doing. They just need some help getting back home. And so they provided what was asked for, and they expected these guys to go home. And since they had contacted the authorities, like the family members, all the people from this town, from this island, were anticipating that these men would be home within a certain amount of time. And they had gathered, like the town, the family members, the loved ones had all gathered at the anticipated time on the docks, and the boat didn't show up. And, they kind of like tried to rationalize it. Only like they'll be like an hour late or a day late. And then, just kept waiting and kept trying to justify until the point that they couldn't keep justifying it. They were completely gone. So over 2 months later, There was no sign during this 2 months. On October 9th, 1968, a ship named Ana de Mayo that was en route to Venezuela from the Netherlands spotted a vessel in the distance. So the ship appeared deserted, but in good shape. So this is the second ship that has come across the same boat, the exact same boat. So the call sign on the side of the ship that they found was TE 21268, which was that of the Fausto. So it was confirmed that this was the exact same ship. So there was a first mate and a deck sailor boarded the boat and found no one on deck or in the cabin. It seemed deserted until they had climbed into the engine room. There they found the naked body of a man laying face up on the floor. He had appeared to have died sometime before and had begun to mummify. The body was found with a transistor radio and a journal. The first mate had opened the journal and had found that a number of pages had been removed. Like, I think the account that I read, because this is like, it's kind of hard to find. Like, there's multiple news articles out there, and you can kind of see like the pictures on Google, but like when you click on the link, it like the link doesn't exist anymore. So you can kind of see like the thumbnail, and it's not like super great quality. So you can find pictures of these men that are disappeared, and you can find pictures of the ship as well. But when you try to find the link that has the additional information or like the actual newspaper articles, they're gone. So that was interesting when trying to track down some extra information. But a bunch of pages have essentially been removed from this journal. Like, they had been torn out. It was obvious that multiple pages were about 27. Yeah. So on the remaining pages, there were, at the very beginning, there was like a bunch of like calculations, numbers, which would like make sense, if you were trying to like track your route home. But at the end of the book, right after the last torn out page, there was a farewell letter. And these people that found this ship, I believe they were Italian. And so they kind of could sort of understand, like, there's a very similar, like, understanding between Italian and Spanish. And so they kind of could read what it said, but like not 100%. So unfortunately, the Fausto had sunk 2 days after it was found, because this other ship was trying to tow it to Venezuela, so that, because that's where they were headed. They were in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, like completely in the middle. If you look at it on the map between the Canary Islands and Venezuela, they're in the middle. And so that was wild. So it did sink. And, there's a couple, like, there's logical reasons as to why it may have sunk, because like towing a vessel that's a lot smaller with something a lot bigger, can kind of create like a downdraft, and the boat can go under and sink it that way. Which, I mean, if it's been floating, willy-nilly out to sea for 2 months, like it probably was the fault of the tower and not the towing, which is unfortunate. But the mummified body that was on board was still on the ship. So it also sunk down. There was no investigation on the body. They could not definitively identify who it was, although there is a theory. But they did have the journal. The journal was not on the ship. The first mate had kept the journal and brought it onto his ship with him.
Well, that's nice.
Yes, so they did have that, and it was retained and returned to La Palma. So once it was received in La Palma, the journal was confirmed to be the 27-year-old Julio Garcias. His wife recognized the journal. She stated that it was something that her husband had taken everywhere with him. He had always been writing notes in it. It was something she recognized because he used it every day. So the note that was a farewell was to Julio's wife. Had details of like his life insurances, his properties, like what like she was supposed to sell so that she and like their 2 children were provided for. They had 2 children. They had the 2-month-old baby and then their older son as well, who was 5 years old. There was also in that farewell letter, like an odd cryptid message, which is more than likely the continuation of the removed pages. So what it states in there was, don't ever tell, like the 5-year-old's name is in there, the 5-year-old's name, but it doesn't actually say the name. All that has happened to me, you know that God wanted this fate for me. I love you. That was the end of the message. Basically, like whatever was in those pages that were removed, lost, was what he was not supposed to, she was not supposed to tell her son, that he didn't want his son to know. Which, I mean,
So is the theory that somebody boarded the ship and tore out those pages, that it had some kind of information on it? Or is the theory that he just removed the pages before his death? Or the
so
people who found him and sank the boat tore the pages out for some reason?
so the first mate and the crew person that he had taken on with him, like they both stated that the pages were already gone. But I mean, they don't know. There's no evidence of the body. That was the only body on the ship. So the other 3 crew members were gone. He was the only body on the ship, and it's assumed to be Julio's, but because like it was the only body, like there was no other bodies, and the body was sunk and not ever returned. They never know, and this has been kind of like a mystery for many, many years. Actually, Julio's wife was still alive, I believe, in 2013 when there was an update on this story. So,
oh wow,
yeah, and she never remarried, just raised her kids, and and it was confirmed, like he actually, like their baby was actually sick. Like it wasn't some ploy. Some people had said that maybe he was trying to scam these people, saying, oh, maybe he's sick, I need to get home, and like rob them. But it was confirmed, like there were clinical records of the baby being seen by a doctor, like the baby was actually very sick.
wow.
So it's just baffling about like what might have happened. So let's see. I have so many pages. So there is kind of like an interesting story, and I have part of it here. And it's called the San Boradon Island. So I was kind of looking up like cryptid paranormal things that had happened like in the Canary Islands, and a lot of them, were like on land, on an island. And there's lots of theories about what may have happened to them, and a lot of them, people are fairly practical, like, oh, like they had a broken compass, and so they didn't know which way they were going, or they were trying to escape to Venezuela or to like South America. Like you can really assume all kinds of things, but there's little to no evidence about what actually happened. But all of these men, were beloved in their community. They were experienced enough to not have just gotten lost. They had been doing what they were doing for 30 years plus. But there's this one theory, and it's the only one that is oceanic and to the west. So when they were first discovered, when the crewmen were still alive, it was like 120 miles west of their destination. And so basically they've just been traveling west, like off of the Isles of Africa, like farther and farther and farther until, the ship is discovered with the body inside. But to the west of the Canary Islands, there's a legend of San Baradon, and it's an island that appears and disappears west of the Canary Islands. And there's some people that say that this is like just a visual phenomenon. But there's a guy, like he's named Saint Brendan, and he was traveling, and essentially he's kind of like a Columbus type traveler, explorer, and he's very known for like kind of embellishing his stories, like taking things that actually happened and like putting a mystical aspect on them. So they had discovered, or discovered the Canary Islands, and they had climbed onto one of the islands and were exploring, checking it out, and had noticed that the island had begun to sink. And once they had like left and gotten back on their ship, they discovered that the island was actually a great whale that was diving back into the water. And so that's like the ancient story that they believe, like in the Canary Islands. But what's interesting is people have taken photos of, they appear to be like mountain ranges to the west of the Canary Islands. They look like mountain ranges. It's wild. And you can look them up now, like, and people still take photos and have like encounters or visualize these mountains multiple times a year, even still. And they're the same. They're always the same.
I've seen the phenomenon, in photos, and it's really fascinating because the science community is dead set that this is just a phenomenon of the atmosphere, that is certain humidity and everything comes together just right. This will show up. And seafaring souls are going, this is not atmospheric. There was an island there.
Yes, and I mean, I have a picture. Like, I have a picture on my phone. It's probably like impossible to see.
What is the name of it?
So this is the San Borondon, Borondon, Borondon. So like basically Saint Brandon, but like in Spanish.
Oh, island, San Borondon. Okay.
Yes, and it's an island. Like, you look at the photo. There's the 1957, I think, one. Manuel Rodriguez Quintero. So that was even before like this had happened to these crewmen. But it is an island.
Right here.
Yep. Yeah. What I find interesting about this photo in particular is that you can see the white outline along the bottom of the mountain shape, which is conducive to water being more shallow or water coming up on rocks.
Right.
If you've ever been near the ocean, like, how water comes up.
But then the scientific, I guess it doesn't really, I mean, can you sail to it? It's like,
right. I know.
Do people land on it?
I have not heard a contemporary account of someone landing on it.
I know. So like if it disappears and you're on it, you disappear too. I mean, it's just weird. It's like a portal. It's just popping in and out.
Like it's an interdimensional portal, which, I mean, people experience those all the time. They see whole worlds that are completely alien from our own, through small windows, whether that's a window into another dimension, another world, another time. Like, people experience this all the time. And because it's not like accepted by a large authority or publicized in the media, people are like, that didn't actually happen. But we get to know what they want us to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very, very interesting story. I mean, there's a few theories out there, and I mean, what do you guys think? What do you guys think actually happened?
So they don't obviously know how the guy died who was mummified on the ship, right? Because he sank with the ship.
Yeah.
And why would he be mummified? Because the ocean, there's too much moisture in the air. Why would he be mummified? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's something that usually happens in very arid environments.
Right.
So that's weird.
That is weird. And also where the three other people. Yes.
I can see pirates coming on board and killing them. I can see that happening because we still have pirate activity on the sea right now.
Right.
I mean, we have pirates that try to take over and board Navy vessels. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, you can like, have you seen, well, I mean, you maybe have seen it in real life, but like you can see videos like in
Yeah.
Somalia, like you don't go to Somalia, you don't go in the water in your Somalia
Right.
because you see, and they're like little boats, they're like little
Yeah.
speedboats.
Yeah.
It's wild to me. It's like yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
way too,
I don't understand what happened. I get the other two guys being gone more because something they could have jumped overboard for some reason. Somebody could have killed him and tossed them overboard. The guy
right,
who's dead could have killed him and tossed him over. Who knows what happened and went down. But why
right.
was he mummified?
But also, why were they 120 miles away from their destination? Could have been saved, could have been towed back and been gone for multiple days and then denied that offer.
Yeah. Well,
Continue west, essentially. Maybe they didn't mean to, but they were
that makes
going
me think
farther
somebody
west.
boarded the vessel and was directing them by gunpoint. Like, you're going to keep moving this direction.
Yeah. Well, so I didn't mention it in the story, but they were brought on board the other vessel. So the three crew members and Julio were all brought onto the other vessel. They were dehydrated, so they gave them water, they
That's
gave
just
them food.
bananas.
Then they asked for food and fuel, and they're like, "We're going home." So, like, if they were already on the ship, and I feel like if there was someone there that had boarded and was like
True.
threatening them,
That's true.
they would be like, "Hey, there's someone down there. Like, can
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or
you piece us out of here?" You
yeah,
know?
no, that's right. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah,
I think
I
they're
hadn't
gonna
mentioned
say,
that
no, we got
before.
this because pride, pride of no, we're under control. We got this. Thank you for the water, but we're gone. I can
Yeah.
see that happening pretty easily, but we're that far off course. Either you don't know navigation because you're still taught today how to navigate celestially, right? Because you use, I mean, in navigation, maritime navigation, you learn how to do that so that you know where you are. Okay. And why would you, if you're that far off course, say, oh yeah, we're really off course, we've really messed up? I don't know. The whole thing is bananas.
Well, and you never know kind of like what the culture is like. Because, I mean, you get people here, whether that's in an office job, a blue collar job, that, say, like, oh, I've been in this industry however many years, and like, I know what I'm talking about, but like, they never like continued an education or, and so they become arrogant and ignorant because they say, I've done this for so many years, like, I can't fathom being wrong. I'm gonna, my whole ego is gonna crumble if I accept that I'm wrong. Yes, we've all met someone like that, and we don't know whether this culture in the '60s was like this type of, these guys are macho and they're in their 40s and they're, you never know.
Probably even more so because they're survivors of the World War II era. That, you know what I mean? It's like the greatest generation, the people, the guys that built everything and did everything, and they're probably
Hey, you want to share a story, Dave?
And Trista, he was mummified before the ship sank, so his corpse was found in the ship by the ship that was trying to tow them when it sank. They left his body on the ship, and they saw him in that condition. That's what we're trying to figure out. Like, how would he get mummified?
Yeah.
It's just, unless, I just don't see it happening on the water. That's the thing.
Yeah. Like,
unless
it was
he's in the cabin and it got so ridiculously hot, but he's still on the water. Like,
so,
I don't know.
Well, the account that I read specifically said they left El Hierro and they never touched land again. Like, or that's like, there was no known instance of them touching land again. There was the two, the one ship, and they were alive. All of them, all four of them were alive. And then months later, they were not.
And there's no ship's log or anything that they found. Yeah.
I mean,
who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they found it and went, ooh. Or
Well,
I don't know.
Well, something interesting I thought could be like a happenstance was the only variable of someone that was not related, privy to the others like didn't know them at all. Julio. He was young. He had a young wife and young children. And it was possible that these older gentlemen, the brothers and the cousin, had a plan to leave and escape, and this was the opportunity they were going to take. But for some reason, they told Julio, "We're going to take you home," and then just decided to kidnap him.
Right. That's crazy.
Right.
Well, thank you, McKenna, for bringing this one, because this bananas. It's spooky.
Yeah. It's just
ghost ships are spooky. Maybe it's my tie to the Navy. I don't know. They're spooky to me because you don't leave your vessel.
There's nowhere to run.
Huh?
Well,
there's nowhere to run on a ship.
There's nowhere to run. Yeah, you don't leave your vessel.
The ocean is vast, and it is so unknown and so unexplored, and so
it's almost impossible to find some search and rescue over water. It's even a large vessel can be very difficult to find if there's not a radar in it, if there's not a GPS ping, if they don't have, any kind of device to help guide search and rescue. Right. Oh God, forget it.
Right.
I would just love to be a fly on the wall of David's brain with this whole spider thing sucking his fluid.
I feel attacked by David.
Like a spider does. Holy crap, David.
At least you're not going to be modified now there.
Oh. Okay. We are at the point where we're going to do some questions and answers, and we do have 3 questions, 4 actually. So the first one was this one here.
Right.
And Gina, why don't you take that?
Yes and no. Oh, my dog's going to start barking.
It's okay.
So, yes, you can actually end up with unwanted spirits. Typically, that happens when you're attempting to make contact to the other side, like through a Ouija board or scrying through a mirror, or, things where you don't fully understand how to recognize what you're talking to, who you're talking to, those kind of things. So, yeah, I personally know people who their life was changed very negatively because they believed they were speaking to their sister who had passed, and they were not. But they didn't have the intuition or the discernment to understand that just because something tells you it is someone specific does not mean that it is someone specific.
Right.
And this particular entity helped to connect to the sister who had passed away in a tragic accident. And then I believe my theory is, I did a lot for you. I've really helped you out. And I'm wondering if you can do a favor for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this person, if I have ever witnessed a live person I know in person that's been possessed, this person was possessed.
Yeah.
And it can be dangerous. If you're working with, oh my heavens, my door.
We'll have Susie answer the next one. Susie, this one is for you.
Yes. And I read through your question and I went ahead because I usually, like I was telling Colleen, I wash them so I don't swim in everybody's energy after we're done. So I tapped back in and I got the mirror again for this person. So what it is every relationship you get into, whether it's romantic, whether it's your mother, your father, your children, you're going to learn something from them. There is no relationship that is perfect and, rainbow unicorns, unless you're David, that is going to be like that, where everything is completely fine. You've got to have conflict. So you've got to have the pain and the sorrow to recognize the joy and the happiness. So you have to have that duality. Now, what I mean by this person mirroring you is, yes, if you give love to them in the correct manner, they will mirror you back with that same kind of love. But on the flip side, so let's say if you're codependent and you don't realize you are, they will show codependent tendencies towards you. And that is a lesson that you need to learn to break. You know, they show you lessons. Relationships are more about showing you lessons you need to learn about you to improve your life and to raise your vibration and, you know, just your mental health, like everything, mental health, physical health, spiritual, all of that. That's what I mean by mirroring. So it's a good and a bad thing. So I can't guarantee that it's not going to be heartache, because there's heartache in life. That's just the way it is. But this person, I tapped in again, and they are someone you have a soul contract with. You have a contract with them that they're to teach you some lessons. The same thing for you. You're going to teach them some lessons. But it's a beautiful thing. Okay. So it can be both beautiful and heartbreaking. I think I'm just supposed to tell you that so that you're aware, so that if you can say, oh, well, why is that behavior there? Because they're mirroring something that they see in you that you need to fix. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Thank you, Susie.
Yeah.
And Celeste, this is for you.
All right. I was going to just hurry and finish on the
Sure.
other one. When you're working with somebody that's familiar or is able to actually communicate without, can communicate with the other side, it's much safer. If they are worth their weight in gold, they have created boundaries. They have created a safe space. They have called in their angels or ancestors or guides, guardians to keep the perimeter controlled. So just regular people. So like if you go to a reputable medium, you shouldn't have a problem. Usually people only have problems when they're going to someone who maybe isn't reputable, or they're trying their own way of communicating with the other side. I'm not saying you shouldn't communicate with the other side. I'm saying you need to educate yourself and know how to create boundaries, how to create safety so that things like that don't happen.
Thank you.
All right. So this question also for Ramona.
Yeah, I would think that. Yeah.
Right. And this goes to most of you, because I see a lot of people saying, I just feel out of sorts. I don't understand. It is a really chaotic time. There are shifts and changes, and we have had solar flares, and we have had planets lined up, and we have had, I can't even count the number of retrogrades ran. All of these things affect us. Sometimes our sleep, sometimes our mood, different things like that. But what I would say is try to breathe. Whenever things are chaotic, don't make big decisions, because you can receive mixed intuition, mixed emotion, different things like that. It's a good time to go inward instead of outward with the processes that you're doing. This isn't going to last horribly long. It is going to go into September, if not the first part of October.
I've been feeling November.
It could.
November.
Yeah. And it's like driving in fog. Even if you're familiar with the road, like if you're from San Francisco and the fog rolls in at night and you're still familiar, it can still kind of get you off balance, get you not feeling comfortable. And I think that we would love for life to be simple and explainable and easy to understand. And even somebody with gifts and abilities, let me just tell you, it's not always. Sometimes it's easy to maneuver, but it is definitely, it's part of the learning. It's part of the understanding. It's part of the trusting your intuition as much as you trust the things you're seeing or the things you're not seeing. Sometimes our biggest clues aren't a feather in our hand or a comment someone made, but the lack of things is sometimes the sign. It's not the right time. You're not supposed to know. Even us psychics, right, Susie? We can't always divine all the information. We can't pull out lottery numbers. I mean, once in a while, maybe things like that happen, but I don't think it's any more likely that a psychic, it's actually probably less likely that a psychic can pick the winning lottery numbers versus Joe Schmo, who always uses the birthdays of his siblings, kind of a thing. So I would tell you to just try to relax, try to make sure you're doing kind things for yourself, and realize this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard when we're trying to make a decision or move forward or do something, but you need to trust. If it's complicated and confusing, you're not supposed to be moving forward. You're not supposed to be making big decisions. You're supposed to ride the rough waters until it gets to be more clear.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I do question the next one.
Yeah. You've got this one, Susie?
Yep. So there's two things. So with butterflies, especially, well, let me back that up. If you see something around you that catches your attention, and generally my rule of thumb is like 3 times is the universe trying to get a message to you. I mean, 3s are very powerful. But when you have, you see butterflies like that and something stands out to you, on one aspect, that is like someone on the other side, a loved one that has passed on, letting you know that they're okay, that they're in a better place. On another aspect, it is also telling you that the universe is saying it is time for change. It is time for growth, that you are going to metamorphosis, that there is something coming up. It's a little bit of a prepare, because this is going to make you bloom and blossom, but you're going to have something coming up. So always kind of look for those. There's always layers of meaning under the energy, but that's also a way for like your loved ones on the other side to let you know, hey, I'm okay. And hey, guess what? There's something coming at you that's going to be really amazing if you can learn to grow with this opportunity.
Thank you, Susie. And then Gina, can you take this one?
Yes. Again, I think everyone is feeling kind of out of sorts right now, Sherry. And it is, sometimes it is like a caution sign, or, that kind of a thing. I think you're heading in the right directions. Like, for example, I know you guys are trying to find a house. You're wanting to go on another vacation. And if things are not lined up, then they don't line when you're trying, like the right house is either not available or something to that effect. And a lot of times we take it very personally, or we think there's something wrong with us, or there's something wrong with the world. But sometimes we just don't have all the pieces that we need for it to line up and lead us to that opportunity. So again, like I said, it's a pretty complicated time right now. And it is a good time to maybe work on building your own intuition. It can be silly things. I was watching a TikTok, and she had a deck of cards, and she blindfolded herself, and she was putting them in piles, whether they were red or black. And she got every single one of them right. So those are intuitive things. There's a little other stuff that plays into that. But sometimes when we're out of sorts, it's just telling us caution or relax. It's not the right timing. Or are you really noticing other things that are going on? Or are you so hyper focused on one thing that you don't see the forest for the trees, if that makes sense?
Thank you. And then Susie, do you have Trista?
I do. It's a pretty tough energy. I'm not sure if she really wants it put out there on the internet.
Okay.
So,
Trista, can you get a hold of Susie after the show?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes, guys, sometimes the energy that comes through is usually sometimes not for public consumption. So
yeah, very, very
personal
stuff.
Yeah.
can come
sometimes-
through. And it's like, I don't want everyone to know everything that's about me. And sometimes you can't get the information to somebody without exposing skeletons in the closet or personal things. So
It's we do post their phone numbers down here so that you guys can get in touch with them and get a full reading. You work out the monetary aspect of that on your own. We don't get involved on the show, but they do this for a living. So guys, do get a hold of them, get a full reading. In this instance, Trista, I'm sure you can talk to Susie about that, what she just pulled for you. We have another comment here. Is there somebody trying to reach out to this person? And
most likely when you feel that, they are. David had referred someone to me earlier, like within the last several days, and the connection was unbelievable, and we were able to clear up a lot of concerns that they had. But again, there were very personal details I'm not sure I would have felt comfortable sharing publicly. And I don't read publicly a lot. This is kind of like the second thing I've ever done where I read publicly, because Colleen knows very personal stuff, very deep things that are triggers, or you didn't know that that was what was triggering, or you know, emotional things. And it's really hard for Susie and I to, you don't want to be dishonest. You don't want to be, you know, just hit and miss with what information you're putting out there. But I would be more hesitant to get a reading on a public thing than I would be to give a reading. But I flat tell people, be careful what you ask, because it does, the information does come through.
yeah. Susie.
Yeah. So that one, if you were there seeing the butterflies with the same person 2 different times, that is very significant. Yes. Especially if it's really standing out to you. That, like I said, that can be a support from the other side, but it can also be a confirmation that this is the person that you have that soul contract with, that you're both going to develop and grow together. Because what does a butterfly do? It changes from a caterpillar, you know, into a chrysalis, and the tough part when it's really got to work on itself, into something really beautiful. So just keep that in mind as you progress with this relationship.
Yeah.
And I wanted to respond to Trista. We do need to accept the good with the bad, but I'm going to give you a quick example of a public reading. I had a woman, her husband, and her best friend, and they wanted a reading on the street in the middle of a big market. And the reading was that her best friend and husband were having an affair. And it's like, that is not a comfortable thing to throw out to somebody in the middle of 150 people.
Did you turn around and say, ask those two because they're busy, and then walk off? I mean,
yeah, she actually set up a time to just come meet with me. And she's like, when you told me it was really personal and that probably we should meet on our own, she goes, I had a feeling exactly what you were going to tell me. And I came here for you to validate if that was true. And it was like, oh, very true.
Yeah, that's the only one time I ever had to cut off a reading and say, you need to leave. You don't have to pay me, walk away, because it was coming out that her husband was having an affair with someone that they worked with. And she just, no, that's not going to, no. And I'm like, well, just go.
like
just
so bad. Yeah. Yeah. So realize, I mean, when I had a reading with Celeste, my gosh, it was like a year ago. It was a year ago.
Yeah.
The last
either just before or just after a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the stuff that came out that I hadn't dealt with, you know, that I had never dealt with, that now you made me deal with.
So
you asked.
It was good. It was good. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't
But
expect
you don't want to carry that kind of baggage your entire life, though. You know, if there's something
I
that's
didn't
deep
realize
in
I
there
had
that you
been,
need to
though.
get it out.
That's
Oh, well,
the
yeah,
bad.
that you don't until it's ready, and then
Woo,
it
then
comes
it was
out.
up front.
You have to
Yeah.
deal
So
with it.
I do have a question. So when you guys get like that, like intuition, like there's something that, comes up that, do you get like a feeling? Do you know whether or not it is information they need to hear, whether or not it's necessarily something they want to hear?
Yeah.
I believe nobody asks a question that they don't need to hear the answer to
Mhm.
or should hear the answer to, especially if you get a resounding answer. I would say, as an example, if you're in the other room in the kitchen and the TV's going and you can't really hear it and it's not very clear, if you're in the room and the volume is perfectly fine and you hear something specific, there you go. So, but I personally, when I do readings, I begin with, let this be for their absolute best good, the things that they need to hear, the things that they need to know about, that it is meant to help them. Because again, be careful what you ask, because you will get answers. And here's the other side. Sometimes people ask very specific questions and you don't hear an answer. They're not supposed to know yet or at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that question is for Susie. This one.
Is school and Jupiter the same thing, or is it like 4 things? We have 3 or 4 things.
Looks like 3 things.
Okay.
3 different.
Because if I just pull 3 separate cards, one on each one, so I can't say like, oh yeah, this is the best route. It's like, like it's definitely what you should do. It looks like the school in Jupiter is where you're going to feel the most at ease. You're going to have the most like emotional support and mental support. You're going to be able to know the job really well. The middle one, you're going to feel kind of a little out of your element, lost, kind of at sea, kind of adrift. And the first one, it shows that it's going to cause a lot of upheaval in your life and stuff that you may not be that happy about. So it's got the change card, but I'm also feeling a tower off from it, if that makes sense. Like big old, like, oh crap, what did I do? So that's the answer I got for those 3.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. We do have 7 minutes left of the show.
Oh yeah, Lizette, I get that all the time. And so that's also music playing randomly what you need at hard times. That is another way the universe speaks to you. God, source, the universe. If like there's a line in there that of a certain song, like don't ask me why. Just recently I had Backstreet Boys in my head, like, oh, God forbid. Yeah, I'm a heavy metalhead. So I was like, what are you doing in there? But there was something in that specific line that I needed to focus on. You know what I mean? So I needed to turn around and make sure that I was pouring more love into a particular situation instead of, just worrying about what I've got going on, if that makes sense. So always pay attention to those lines. And even if you have to like Google them and look at the lines above and below, those lyrics, it's very important. Sorry.
What is that song? Is it Bonnie Tyler? It's Turn Around.
Turn it out.
There you go.
Yeah, totally. And I'll tell you that
now
song,
I have Backstreet's Back stuck in my head.
Yeah, sorry.
I've got bye. Oh.
Yeah. It sometimes when I think of certain people, certain music will pop in my heads with different lines, and then I can actually tap into like how they're feeling right at that moment with it too. So yeah, the screamo, that's just me like shut up.
Yeah, so our buddy on another podcast, it's Midnight Lycanthropy. Starfox is a big time metalhead, but it's like the the screamy metalhead.
Growling.
We share a music platform, and he makes a lot of my music for me for my videos, right? And so he works on his music, and he'll throw some at me, and I just can't do it, man. He's like, "Do you want me to?" I'm like, "No, instrumental. It's fine."
Yeah, I literally, because I work in the mental health field. Sometimes I would get these kids that would be so upset and so raged out, but they couldn't voice anything. And I would just shut them in my car, and I would turn up some heavy metal music that was just screaming. And by the time 3 minutes was done, they were decompressed into a little puddle, and they're like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, "Let them do it for you." Because if I'm angry and somebody turns on elevator music, I'm going to get even pissed.
I can't do the ragey music.
Yeah.
Tell her needs a
Very
rage
true.
room.
Yeah,
I don't
that
even
would
want
be
to go
so
near it.
good.
I get a headache thinking about it. The noise. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't love the screamo stuff, but I bake to hard rock.
No,
Everybody's
I
like, "What
hard
makes your
rock. I
what
just
makes
do
your
that
cake so
screamy
good?"
stuff.
It's like
pour some sugar
a
on
little
me.
Slipknot.
Oh, Def Leppard? Absolutely.
Slipknot's awesome. Yeah.
There's another question here. Celeste, do you want to take this one?
Let's see. You can have a specific reading. You have got so many questions. I think you would be much more happy to have an appointment, just because it's hard for us to really go into a lot of details. I feel like that you're coming to a crossroads. And yeah, there is definitely, sometimes we don't feel like we have control over things, and sometimes we don't, but we can't always control everything, but we can control ourselves. So say, for example, we feel like we're in the middle of a storm. We can't change the storm, but we can lower our sail on our boat so we're not being tussled as much. We can grab that rudder and manually turn things. Some things are supposed to be out of our control, but I feel like you're coming into kind of a crossroads. And what a crossroads means is you've hit you need to, like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz, you need to go right or you need to go left. There's no more forward, and choices need to be made. And I feel like that sometimes it's hard to make choices because we don't want to make the wrong choices. But not making a choice is a very powerful choice. Yes. And it is not going to get us to where we need to be. It is going to create more obstacles, more distance of where we're supposed to be. And so,
Celeste?
What?
I've been learning lately to not make the choice.
But that's what I'm saying. When you think you either have to pick A or B, maybe you're not supposed to pick A or B.
Right. That's the way I'm feeling lately. So don't pick it.
Right.
Let it pick
Right.
me.
Well, and that also, those are individual lessons. And so sorry, we know you, Colleen, and you're very boom, ba boom. So maybe your lesson is to sit back and let things flow more naturally and let it come to see, there you go.
I'm trying.
So, yeah, every
lesson on your reading, but I just wanted that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
and it's like usually crossroads is a good thing. It doesn't feel like a good thing when you're there and you're like, but sometimes we've brought that on ourselves. Yeah. And or we've continued to have repeat mistakes, repeat things in our lives, with a relationship, with a family member, with a job, because we keep making a bad choice about what we should be doing. And so that could be where you're at, Colleen, is that maybe instead of trying to control by not making a decision.
Not following you.
I may let it flow. And I struggle with that too. Yeah.
My
But,
therapist would call that avoidant conflict resolution.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, and sometimes people are so afraid of making a bad choice, they don't want to make any choice. And then other people are so sure what they think they're supposed to do is the right thing, and they keep finding themselves back in the exact same spot
the
again and
guru,
again.
Yep.
the shit that can be my life. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
So, but so we do have a couple of announcements to make. So next Wednesday we will not be having a show. McKenna and we're going to be doing some paranormal stuff. And what else is there? I'm not sure if next Thursday is going to go off. I got to talk to the team. They may go ahead and have a show without me, but Kenna and I are going to be doing a lot of filming. We'll work together, a lot of paranormal stuff while we're together. And yeah, if I'm allowed, I will film. I'm going to Skinwalker Ranch for a rocket launch, and I'm going to try to film that. I am so freaking excited about it. Also, Trista and I are starting a new show on this platform. We're not ready to release the title yet, but it is epic. Trista came up with the title. We're doing artwork right now. Our friends at Midnight Lycanthropy, Starfox is making our intro video for us and some art, and it's going to be incredible. So yeah, so next Wednesday we're going to take the night off. We're going to be doing crazy stuff, and yeah. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. This was amazing, and our audience keeps growing, and also Susie's doing tarot readings. We are now putting them on like every 7 to 10 days or so on Emergency Encounters. We just threw up the first set tonight. She also does have her own YouTube page. What is it called?
Intuitive Taurus Moon.
Okay, Intuitive
Yeah, I know
Taurus
it's way
Moon.
too long. Yeah.
No, it's cool. So go subscribe to her because she's doing her own thing over there as well. So we're going to kind of cross post. And then she also has a TikTok page called Intuitive Taurus Moon. And that's growing. So friend her over there if you're on TikTok. And we're trying to talk Celeste into doing some of that stuff, but we're just lucky she's not blowing up the computer she's on. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you know Celeste in electronics, I ended up having to buy a new phone after our last road trip.
I was gonna. My phone is like busted to pieces. So
yeah.
Hi, buddy.
So anyway,
I just had 3 hummingbirds right here staring at me.
oh, you better go feed them.
cool.
Yeah, better go see what that means.
Those things.
3.
See, yeah, 3 is the energy. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you on this show in 2 weeks. Bye.
Night, guys.
Bye.